for the average golfer, you're pretty much inundated with just do this. It's easy. You just have to do this. What's your problem? Everybody else can do it. Why can't you do it? Or sometimes I can do it. Why can't I always do it?
Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of Links for Life. I think we're going to have a fantastic episode with my new friend, golf coach, Brian Coleman, and we're going to hear a little bit about his really fascinating story, as well as get into the weeds of what is a golf coach and what can a golf coach do and exactly what his process is. So we've got a lot to cover in this episode, and I think you're in for a real treat with it all. I'm really excited to have Brian on Links for Life. We've gotten to know each other just a little bit over the last month or so, and I've already seen some tremendous value just in his approach that gets me really excited here in February, right now while we're recording. It gets me really excited about the golf season ahead because I see a clearer pathway to not just getting a little bit of a better swing, but actually becoming a better golfer. And isn't that what we really want, whether it's golf or in life? Not to just kind of have a hack, but actually to become better at who we are. And so I think that's the process that I hope that we'll get into in this and some of our future episodes that we'll do together. So, Brian, welcome to Links for Life. I'm really looking forward to our conversation.
Thanks. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, this is great. So just to begin with, tell me a little bit about how you got into golf. Everybody's path is so different, and I've talked to a few people who are professionals in various fields, and it's always so different. So how did you get into golf to begin with?
I would have to say my grandmother started us all. So my grandmother was an avid golfer in Boston, Massachusetts.
Okay.
She would play if it was going to snow.
I love it.
She had 5 boys and a daughter, and she taught everybody how to play. And my dad taught all of us how to play. So when I was 12, I came late. My brother was younger. I was a hockey player, and I kind of took the Happy Gilmore approach that golf was not for tough guys,
Yeah.
Not that I'm a tough guy, but, hockey's a very different mentality. So one day I just realized that if I wanted to spend time with my dad in the summer, I had to learn how to play golf because my brother was hogging all his time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Did you like it at first?
I picked up the club to hit a ball, and my dad says, "You're holding it backwards." So I switched my hands and said, "This doesn't make any sense." He said, "No, you're holding the club upside down."
Oh.
I was a lefty trying to swing a righty club. So it took me an entire summer just to figure out how to hold the club and swing it right-handed. It's like teaching yourself how to write with your other hand. It just took a while for me to get some dexterity. Yeah.
That's fascinating because my grandson, and I talk about him sometimes on this because it's somewhat fun.
What's his name?
His name is Braden.
Braden, okay.
And he is already at age 2 fanatical about golf, which I know is really unusual. At 2. At age 1, he would not put down a golf club. And it was, one of these little plastic clubs, and he would swing it like crazy, but he went straight to left-handed in terms of it. And my son and us tried to kind of retrain him right on, let's do it from this angle. And he just absolutely kept on going back to left-handed. And so we got him his first set. My son got him his first set of golf clubs, and they're left-handed Tyler clubs. And he swings it. It's just unbelievable. But he'll be out. I take him out to the range, and he will play nonstop for 2 hours at the range. I've never seen such a, one track mind. So anyway, but that'll be funny. But he started off left-handed.
Well, his future self is thanking him now. That was a tough thing to figure out how to do.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I played hockey left-handed since I was 2.
Well, particularly with hockey.
Yeah. I mean, the hockey stick is at an angle like the golf club. So it was just my brain had to rewire itself a little bit. That took a while. Yeah, it took a while.
Okay.
But I've always putt left-handed.
So you play right-hand and putt left-handed.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. I don't think I've ever.
There's a few out there.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever played with someone who's done that. So.
Yeah. I would say I putt as well right-handed. I make as many putts, but it's taxing on my brain to stand on that side of the ball.
Yeah. So you picked it up at age 12 to get more time with your dad.
Played all through high school. I was a hockey player again, so I went to the University of Maine to play hockey.
Okay.
Golf was something I did in the off season. Loved it in the off season. Played through high school in the fall, but hockey was my thing.
Hockey was
that was my
thing
passion.
over golf all the way through college.
Like way more important than golf.
Yeah.
Hockey was my identity.
Yeah.
Without hockey, I wasn't sure who I was in the world.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get that. So then what flipped the switch after college to say, I really love this?
So in college, I actually discovered aviation. And so in my junior year, second semester of my junior year of college, I left and I went to flight school.
Wow.
And I went through a very concentrated program down in the Myrtle Beach area. We lived at the airport. We were surrounded by aviation coaches. And we just immersed ourselves and went through all of our ratings. I was one of 3 Americans. All these international kids would come over, and it was a very, very high pressure, lots of testing, lots of schooling, 7 days a week flying. And then once I got out of that, I just started my aviation career. So I have several different, you level up, bigger planes and bigger planes. And then I ended up having a 20-year aviation career, 16 at the airline. And I was a captain, I was a check airman, an instructor pilot down in Houston. And all throughout that time, I was an avid golfer. I got myself a membership down in Houston. And when I wasn't working, I was playing golf.
I guess as a captain flying, it does give you a reasonable amount of downtime.
Yeah. The last 6 years of my career, I had 18 days off a month.
18 days off a month?
So when you're off for 18 days a month, you could play all the golf you want and still be home for dinner and still take care of things that you needed to take care of.
Wow.
Yeah. So I just pretty much lived at the golf course.
It's just fun to hear because, that's such a dramatically different path to doing what you're doing than probably anybody would ever imagine.
Yeah, it's a little different. And I myself had no idea that it would turn out this way.
Yeah.
But at 40 years old, God called me out of aviation. It had been coming.
Okay.
And it was a difficult thing to accept because that's a very specialized training. You go through a lot to get what you have.
Yeah.
And then it's a union thing. So you work your way up in seniority and there's lifestyle and there's, opportunity for your family to fly unlimited anywhere they want in the world. It's a good job to leave.
It's a good job to stay in.
And nobody leaves. People stay in that job for that reason. But I just kept getting a little ping that it wasn't going to be in my life for forever.
Okay.
In that way.
Well, I got to ask, what are those pings? What do they sound like? How did you come to that?
That's a really good question. I appreciate you asking me. Nobody's ever asked me that. But it came more in the form of like an emptiness.
Okay.
Or like the flame just kept getting a little smaller.
Yeah. All right.
So the more I grew into the profession, the more I learned, the more the flame shrunk.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it got to the point where I pretty much had scoured the bottom of the barrel for things to keep lighting my fire. My son was 7. I really didn't like being away from home. That I think a lot of us can agree that when you're a dad, that's a whole nother thing in life. And I didn't want to miss things with him. So yeah, it became one of those things that got harder and harder to go, but it's such a safety critical business that you have to be all in all the time. And I felt like it was easy for me to do the job well, not paying attention all the time, all in, because my heart was slowly not in it. And I just came into this wedge of you either need to do something else or you need to figure out how to be okay with this. And I couldn't figure out how to be okay with it. So I literally just gave 2 weeks notice at one point.
That's wild. I love that. I really appreciate that, because that's a place I think a lot of people get to in life, where the flame, as you say, just gets lower, and you have to make a really difficult decision of what am I going to do about that. And I even love that you associate that with God's leading in your life, because I think that's true. And yet so many people limit, I know this is outside of the scope in a sense of Links for Life, but so many people limit hearing God to, well, I'm supposed to hear something. There's supposed to be some magical voice from above. And yet God often leads us through our desires and through those things going on. So at least for what it's worth, from my viewpoint, you were hearing from God. But a lot of people choose to just say, well, I'm going to do the practical thing.
And I understand that, because we had a house and we had a child and we had dreams and we have retirement plans. And,
right.
you know, all of that starts to become the thing that dictates everything you do in your life. And I tried to push through and do the logical thing. But I remember sitting in the airplane in Palm Beach. It was hot. The air conditioner on the airplane wasn't working. We had a full passenger load and a jump seater showed up. So they're putting the seat down in the cockpit, and now it's like we're three of us squished up in there. And they had an issue with a passenger in the back, and the fueler had an issue. And I just remember I didn't hear a voice, but I did hear, this isn't for me anymore.
So when you put in your 2 week notice, did you know what you were going to do next?
No. And that was, I can feel the stress that I felt back then now.
Oh, I bet.
Because I had tried to do the logical thing, and like, maybe I'll be a math teacher in 5th grade. Maybe I'll go learn how to weld. I had all kinds of, I took all the big personality tests, right, and I was just coming up empty. And so when I left, the plan was to spend the summer with my son, and then I'd figure it out in the fall.
Okay.
So the summer came and went, and I still didn't know what to do. And so I started to experience what I think you would expect, a lot of tension.
Yeah.
My wife at the time was stressed out about it.
Uh-huh.
We had plenty of money. We had saved. I had prepared all of this ahead of time. But the idea that I didn't have a career was stressing her out. And I acknowledge that.
Sure.
It's a stability
natural
thing. It's like the foundation of how we're going to keep eating. But I can remember I took a drive, and on the way home, I came to the stoplight where if I turn right, I go home. And if I go straight, I go back on the highway. I couldn't go home. Like, I could not go home one more time and sit there and not know what I was going to do. And I had a little bit of a crisis right there in the car. I had like a moment of extreme tension and pressure. And I remember just thinking, what do I like to do? And I closed my eyes and I saw in green letters, GOLF. It was the most obvious thing in the world, because golf had been in my life and in my family and my grandmother forever. And as soon as I saw the letters golf in my head, everything calmed down. I felt totally relaxed, and I saw, go to Golf Club of Houston, where they host the Shell Houston Open. It's 8 minutes from my house, and I know somebody that teaches there. So I just drove there, and I said, I'm looking for a job. So they gave me a job picking balls on the driving range.
Wow.
So I went from wearing the 4 bars in the captain's chair to picking balls at the driving range. It was humbling.
Yeah.
You know, you're making minimum wage pretty much. But I had structure, and I needed that. And within 3 or 4 months, the head pro realized that I was a golfer, and he said, hey, why don't you go into the PGA program, and you can be an intern and work as an assistant. So I said, yeah, I'll do that. So now I'm back in school, which made my wife feel better. She's very traditional, ex-wife. And that's how the golf business thing started. I was 40 years old, and I was going into the PGA program to work in the golf business, which at the time I just thought meant working in the pro shop, which I was terrible at that job. For all of those pros out there doing that job, my hat's off to you.
Yeah.
there was a lot going on. There was a lot to do. There's a lot of Excel skills you need and a lot of scoreboard and the writing and the tournament setup. There's a lot going on in there.
Sure. Yeah.
They worked their butts off, and I hated that job. I didn't like it.
Yeah. I can imagine. I don't think I would have liked that. I mean, it's like being so close to something you love, and yet you can't, you can't go taste it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that generally you need skill to do that job. There's a lot of skills that you have to have that most people just have no idea about because they just show up and play golf.
Sure.
And the skills that you needed for that they're not natural to me. Everything had to be learned. I didn't have a lot of natural talent for managing the tee sheet and doing these kinds of things. But I was fortunate enough to like, look, you can start teaching. But I had no idea what to teach. It didn't matter if I could play. Like, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to tell people. And so can I tell you one story about, this is one of those moments in my life that I have to say thank you to the universe. About a week before I stopped flying, I was at the gate in Denver. It's snowing out, very peaceful. It was nighttime. We were going to go to El Paso and then back to Houston. And I was done that evening with my trip. And I knew I was leaving, and the passengers hadn't started coming out yet. And it was just really quiet. And I had poured myself a drink, and I remember looking out up at the snow coming down. Sometimes I get emotional when I think about this. And I just said, God, whatever you have me do next, please let it be real. I don't want to sell snake oil. I don't want to do something that's not, like, because what I'm doing here in this airplane is real. There's a lot of stuff going on here that I've learned how to be really good at. And I don't want to do something next that's not good. Like, it's not excellent. It's not based on something real. And so fast forward to today. So this is 12 years later. Everything I needed to have that prayer answered came to me. And so now when I talk about golf, when I teach golf, when I get myself involved with golf, it's based on something very real. There's a lot of depth. There's a lot of rote pieces that correlate together to make a puzzle, if you will. And, golf is a business where it's kind of loaded with quick fix type stuff.
Yeah.
Not to say that those quick fix things aren't real. A lot of times they are, but they've got to fit into a bigger organism.
Right.
The one-off things don't work all by themselves in a vacuum.
Yeah.
So between the get rich quick schemes and there's a lot of that in golf. And I think that it's difficult as a golfer to be in the golf world and see the get rich quicks, put a stick in the ground, it'll fix your whole game. Buy this club, it'll fix your whole game. You're inundated with that. You also only ever see like the best players on their best week when you watch television.
Right.
So you don't see the fellas missing the cut or the ladies missing the cut, where you do see shanks.
Right.
And you do see chunks, and you do see bunker shots, the ball doesn't come out. Now, they don't continue to repeat that mistake over and over and over because they do have a very healthy golf organism. So they're not stuck in some loop of terrible golf. So a lot of times you'll see a terrible shot, but the recovery shot's amazing.
Right.
Because they know what they're doing.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean that they're always doing that. And I think that for the average golfer, the average club golfer who really does play golf as a hobby, this is something that they want to do for fun. You're pretty much inundated with, just do this. It's easy. Like, you just have to do this. What's your problem? Everybody else can do it. Why can't you do it?
Yeah.
Or sometimes I can do it. Why can't I always do it?
Yeah. Well, all of that resonates with how we connected, because we connected the very first time at men's Bible study that I often teach at. And I can remember meeting you. And I think at that point in time, you'd listened to an episode of Links for Life, and you made the one comment you made was, you said something about the fact that most golfers don't improve with lessons. I agree with you. That was the thing that you highlighted. I went, that's kind of a really interesting first comment. And so we exchanged business cards, so to speak, just numbers. And I came over just to kind of get to know you. at your studio, and you immediately kind of was interested in my, hitting some balls and some different things. And I could tell right at the front end that something different is happening. I mean, you weren't pitching me, of course. You were just interested in seeing who I was as a golfer at various levels. And I think that's what really appealed to me, was that what we were talking about when we eventually got to talk about, well, what could we do together, was much more about figuring out the whole puzzle rather than getting a couple of pieces put together and then moving on. And so anyway, that's a lot of what I'm interested in as a golfer, that I think is also really interesting for people who are perhaps listening, is what is this difference that you're talking about? Kind of that is your passion, is what is the difference between the quick fix that sometimes a golf lesson can be and what you're passionate about in terms of golf coaching?
Yeah. First, what I'll say is we're all different. So everybody has different wants.
Right.
There are people who play golf, and we're all public golfers or private golfers that are not professionals. We
Right.
show up and do what we want to do. Some people want to compete and gamble. Some people just want to get out in the grass. Some people just want to get some exercise. Like, we all have different reasons for going out there.
Yeah.
So not everybody needs what I offer. Not everybody wants it. But if somebody's interested in improvement, well, you're getting closer to what I'm interested in.
Right.
But not everybody who wants to improve the same way either. Some people do just, can you just help me get over a hump and leave me alone? I don't really want lots of teaching. So personally, the reason I said what I said to you, where most people don't get better, is I think that whatever native ability you have, whatever homegrown ability you have, you get to a certain point and then you kind of stagnate. And whatever your natural gifts are, whatever your innate abilities with golf are, they get you so far and then you stop. That's it. For a lot of people who go to their pro to get a lesson, I think that if you gave the pro more to work with, he could do a lot more with you. She could do a lot more with you. Meaning, you're asking somebody to do something almost impossible by
Yes.
doing one lesson.
Yeah.
You're putting the professional in a situation where they can't shine the way that they could shine if you gave them more time and space.
Right.
So are there people out there that are not great at teaching? I'm sure. Like, that's anywhere. But most people who are in the golf business are good golfers themselves. They've probably given enough lessons to understand enough to help somebody out. But the students, and again, this is just the way that we're wired in the golf business. I don't agree with it, but it's how it is. The students need to be better.
Yeah.
The students have to look in the mirror and decide, what do I want? And then go and ask for that in a way that makes sense to get what you want.
Right. And I'll admit, I think I'm a perfect example of that, because I've had lessons, even in recent years, from really good teachers. And I've gone into it on the front end with this verbalized, I really want to become a better golfer. But I haven't always followed through with the type of process with those golf teachers to allow them to help me to get better. And I will say that sometimes they're also caught in a little bit of a bind, because the structure for most golf teachers is, I do an hour here, then I go to an hour here, and I go to an hour here. And if someone wants to come back to me, they ask. It's a reactive type of process, as opposed to what I sense what you're talking about and what you do is much more proactive. It's more of a partnership. But I will say that I have fallen often into that trap that you're talking about, of expressing that I want to improve, but not following it up with proof that I want to improve, the work and the coming back and everything like that. So I totally get what you're saying.
And as a coach, I would assume that it's almost common sense. Like you don't even really have to do a lot of explaining. That is how you get better.
Yeah.
You get a little better every day for a long period of time. You keep showing up every day. You keep trying to solve the next problem that's in the way to the thing you're trying to get.
Yeah.
And then you get there. Or you get to some level of it and look back and you edit and revise and you go again. But when you go through a process like that and you realize how much development is needed on soft skills and hard skills and all the little isms that you've got to kind of plug the holes, and you do all that and you are better, you look back and you ask yourself, what would I have learned in one lesson? And you can't, you just laugh like nothing, like pretty much nothing.
Well, and I'm very aware that because I've seen this in the life coaching realm, that often the problem or the issue or the reason someone comes to you is not the most significant issue that they have to deal with. And you need to, in a sense, be able to discern and see around it the thing that that person doesn't know and can't see. And so I've really wanted to get better at golf for a lot of years, but part of the problem is I don't even know what the problem is. To be able to tell a teacher, here's what I want to work on. And so often the problem has less to do with a swing flaw than it does to do with a mental process that shows up on the course that your typical golf teacher is not going to fix. And so that's one of the things that I think really excites me, is getting to the core of issues that I can't see. I have blinders on that someone like yourself could very easily identify and say, you know what? We're on the course and you're not swinging anything like how you swing the club, in an inside simulator or something like that. So let's try to get at that, or any number of issues, which I'm excited to find out about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just to be fair, it's the guy on the driving range or the teacher on the driving range that's going to see you for an hour or 45 minutes or whatever it is. They're not going to address it, but they don't have the time or the space to. They could.
Sure.
If you gave them. So like if you went to your pro and you said, this is my goal. Let's just take something simple. I can't get out of a greenside bunker and it's killing me because I have to like steer and guide my iron into the green because I don't want to get in the bunker. So it screws up I can't just free swing out in the fairway. So the whole thing is just a problem. You would be better off going to your pro and saying, can we sit down and just put all this on the table and let me tell you what I'm dealing with? You watch me and then let's make a game plan. Do I need 10 sessions to be good at this? Do I need 15? Do I need 6? Like, what do I need to do regularly in a pretty short period of time? So like, you're not going to buy 10 lessons and then not come back for a year.
Right.
You're just going to come and we're going to go through this. You have an enormously better chance of getting good bunker technique if you do that versus if you just do one and dones and you never get better.
Yeah.
You just get more scar tissue, more thoughts, more go to YouTube.
Yeah. And it's a perfect example. I think so many of the people that I've gone to, they are great golf teachers, but they're rarely asked to be a golf coach.
This is what I'm saying. This whole our whole industry is just not set up to do this because you don't need a license to play golf. At least not in America.
Yeah.
I think in Germany you do. Isn't that cool?
Huh.
You need a license. You have to actually go through a little program so that your pace of play, you understand, you know how to take care of the course, you understand some etiquette, like you can function out there without being a disruption.
That's interesting. Leave it to Germany to get
Leave it to Germany to do that right. But I mean, it's got some merit to it.
Yeah.
But in our deal, like anybody can just go out and play and anybody can teach anybody. And let's face it, a lot of people learn from Uncle Joe or, whatever.
Yeah.
Most people don't start with a teacher and continue to go on.
Yeah.
But your best players on the planet all have coaches.
So I do want to bring a parallel because I've noticed this a lot in life coaching, which is, in a sense, has a lot of similarities to what we're talking about. How many people that I have met with one time and been able to talk to them about something that matters to them, that they want help on. And we've had a reasonable connection in that time. And then I don't hear anything from them. And I have no resentment or bitterness about that at all. But that difference that I think almost all of us as human beings need of a person who's going to speak holistically, who has more experience than us, to help us put the whole puzzle together, to see things that we cannot see, and to come alongside the person to help them in their life, whether it's relationships or career or their own personal habits and disciplines, whatever area. And it might be all of those that needs to happen over a period of time. And how much I think so many of us miss out on in life because we don't have someone to speak into our lives in that fashion. And what you're talking about in terms of golf is just a microcosm of that, which is actually the whole reason I got excited about Links for Life, is this connection between the ways we learn and grow in the golf game and the ways we grow in life. So anyway, this just fits perfectly to me for what Links for Life
Well, for
is all
sure.
about.
And yes, it's about golf instruction. Yes, golf coaching is about golf instruction, but it's not really about that, because for you to truly become a better golfer, your nervous system has to change.
Exactly.
So it's life.
Yeah.
You just we don't have to talk about your life. We can just talk about golf, and you can transition that to your life.
Well, in the nervous system, it's not just the nervous system. Often your identity has to change. Often your character has to change.
Yeah, in parts, for sure.
Yeah. And some things will not be overcome unless you deal with some identity and ego issues, which we've talked about with several guests on this. And I think that's like the really cool thing. It's why I'm really passionate about golf, is because there's always this deeper challenge going on inside that is so much bigger than the physical issues, around golf.
And the better you get, the more it's that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
The better you get, it does become largely a mental game.
Right. Yes.
And if you're unwilling to go there, that's okay, but you're going to stifle your ability to reach potential.
Right. Exactly. So, it's fun. I've told you I just came back from playing in just a member guest golf tournament, not a high pressured situation. But I played really, really poorly in the whole thing. And in this strange way, it just gets me so jazzed, because I think, I just got exposed. I felt like there was this spotlight on all of these things that still need so much work, both technique and mentally. And it left me with a sense of, man, this would be so cool to move beyond this and to overcome some of these issues. Not that we'll ever overcome them totally in golf, but it had this almost counterintuitive reaction in me that I played so poorly that I became more determined to attack it. So anyway, you've got a big challenge on your hands getting into this game with me. So I think we've gotten a little bit at what is this golf coaching and what's different about it from just going and getting a lesson or a couple of lessons about the game. So I'd love for you to just talk for a minute about the process that you would typically go through with someone who came to you as a referral. And maybe we can kind of just use me as the guinea pig, as we'll hopefully do with some episodes. So you've seen a little bit of me hitting in a simulator, and you didn't know anything about me as a golfer. What would be kind of the process that you would typically go through with me to say, let's go at your game? This assumes, of course, I'm willing to make a commitment of time and effort and money to say I want to get better, and you don't know whether I'm really, honest about that or whether I'll follow through with all that. So you're coming at me cold.
So if I'm coming at you cold, I prefer to play golf with you before we start talking about anything.
Yeah. Okay.
So if we could arrange a 9-hole, just show up and play.
Yep.
Like we're just two guys that just joined up and we're going to go play. It's helpful for me to see what I'm working at raw.
Right.
Untainted. I haven't touched you yet. I haven't said anything to you yet. I'm just seeing your game. And then I'm going to ask you questions as we go. Is this normal? Is this your normal ball flight? Is this your normal miss?
Right.
And give you plenty of chances to say, no, normally whatever. But then after that, if it seems to me like this is a worthwhile investment to keep going, then I'll keep going. But I definitely look at this as an investment from my own point of view. I've stopped breadcrumbing myself.
That's so huge. And I don't think I've ever heard anybody say it that way, where it's a choice for you to make the investment as opposed to usually that's coming from the other angle, from the golfer.
Yes. And, if you're in a situation where you're forced to just work with whoever asks you, you have no choice. You have to do this.
Right.
But in my situation, it's not about big time people and saying I only work with who I want to work with. I just want to get a good return on my investment. And I want to kind of hedge my bets ahead of time. So do some research, ask some questions, like is this something that I'm going to get something out of? So if somebody's not quite ready for the commitment that I'm going to ask, but they really want to do it, I'll just have that conversation with them.
Right.
Like, I can see you want to do this, but I'm not 100% sure that I'm the right person for you.
Right.
And when I get through all that, then it's easier for me to say, okay, come to the studio, bring all your stuff, and you're going to hit all your clubs. We'll spend an hour and a half, 2 hours, very relaxed, no rush, no pressure. Give me a chance to kind of get to know you more. You get to kind of see the studio. How do you feel in the space? How do you feel about the way we're interacting? And then if after all of that, I still feel good about it, and you still feel like this is something you're curious about, then the next question is, what do you want to do? And you'll be surprised how many students at that point, well, I just want to get better. Okay, but that's not close enough. So we got to go deeper. Like, what do you actually want? Well, you might have to go home and think about that.
Are you trying to get at what their goals are?
I'm not starting unless I know where we're going.
Okay. So are you thinking, I'm an 8 handicap, I want to become a 2 handicap, or?
Everybody has different things that they say.
Okay.
It could be a handicap. It could be a ball contact. It could be ball flight. It could be getting over anxiety. Like I can't.
Okay.
I'm on the range. I'm good. I go to the course. I don't even know who I am anymore. So sometimes it's all kinds of reasons.
But you want to push them to be able to verbalize that.
If you don't know what you want to do, then how do you get there?
Yeah. Better isn't enough. I want to get better is not enough.
It's not enough because everybody
right.
wants to get better.
Yeah.
But in order for me to organize everything we're going to do over the next year and keep things in the back of my head and kind of know when to push and pull, you have to know why you're doing this. Because that we can edit and change that a little bit as we go. But if you don't really know and I don't really know, well, then we don't have a plan.
Yeah.
We can't really attack things.
Yeah.
I can give you a few examples of some really good clients that I've had. And at the start of their program, they always know what they want. So for instance, somebody might say, I shoot 95. I think I'm capable of shooting in the 70s, but I really have no idea how to control an iron. I can hit an iron, I can make club speed, a ball can take off, but I have no idea how to make the ball do what I want it to do.
Right.
Great. So we can make that like a focal point. That'll be the main thing that we work on this year.
Okay.
So that by the end of the year, you feel like you've got a handle on how you uniquely control your swing and your ball flight.
Do you find that often where someone begins in terms of what they say they want to learn, how they want to grow, what they need, changes 6 months into it once they,
Yes.
yes, I would imagine.
We still achieve the goal.
Right.
Like, I'm not abandoning that, but more often than not, by the end of the year, they're like, I had no idea that I was going to get this out of it.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, the person that's hell bent on getting their driver right might fall in love with their short game and realize how much more valuable that it was to their score
Right.
and their overall feeling of confidence when they go play.
Yeah, because often it's not just about the score. It's about I can enjoy the game while I have this going on.
Yeah.
And it isn't, yeah, if I get this corrected, it will help my scores. But I don't even care as much about that as just getting over this thing.
It can be.
Yeah.
Sometimes the thing that someone can't get over is not important. But if they can't get over it, then they've got to get over it to get to the important things.
Right.
So,
right.
As a coach, you've got to kind of figure out what are they stuck on and how do I get them past that to the bigger picture.
Yeah, which takes a lot of communication skills beyond the technical skills. It's, we need to really talk and may need to get under the surface of these things you're saying to what really matters to you that you may not even be aware of yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that can scare people.
Right.
It can, like, it gets a little woo-woo, like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? But I'll say that at some point along the way, you're going to deal with something in yourself that you're going to have to look at and say, I need to let this go. And I think when it comes to changing your nervous system to something that can hold better golf,
right,
you often don't have to create something new. You usually just have to let something go. That's been my experience.
Yeah, that's great. I had a great conversation just recently that aired with Robert Wren, who played, for 16 years on the PGA Tour. And the whole episode was about handling pressure. And it was about what distinguishes someone who seems to have that natural ability to excel when the pressure is on versus the person who folds when the pressure is on. What are the nervous system things or the mindset that distinguishes one from the other? Because usually it's a very obvious, distinct thing of the person who is very capable, but their game becomes something completely different in pressure situations versus the person who actually turns it up. They find a different level of focus and confidence and even internal calm when that happens. So that was a really interesting conversation all around the same things that you're talking about.
Yeah, and some people have a knack for that. Like they have a talent. It's an innate talent. So you put them in a pressure situation, and for some reason, they flip a switch and they just go more focused.
Yeah, and it's something that will be really fun for us to work through because I've found for myself personally that I've experienced both sides of that in certain situations in multiple sports, including golf. Certain things have flipped that switch to where I am the best of who I am, and I operate on another level. More than often, I find myself operating less, and I'm trying to identify what is the distinguishing thing that's going on that causes one thing to happen versus the other, and how can I enter more into flow or however you want to, whatever language you want to use around that. And I think that's, as you say, there are a lot of people who play golf for the fun of it and for the social camaraderie and just for the experience of being outside. But for those that want to get better, it at some point it's going to get to that nuance that if you're just not one of those people blessed with that just comes naturally, you're going to have to work through.
Well, that was the other side of my comment is just because you don't have it doesn't mean you can't learn it.
Exactly.
Whether it's your
Which
right
is
arm or
exactly,
you can learn these things.
Yeah.
You just have to decide what do I want to learn.
Exactly. And Robert said the same thing. He said, I trained my mind. And I thought, well, man, someone that has played at his level, and yet he was so aware that I have to train my mind for this kind of performance. So that really gets me excited. So we'll have a fun opportunity, hopefully real soon, to get out and play 9 holes together. And I think that's going to be interesting. I'm just so interested to see the insights that you have, in playing the game. And what you do differently is you take clients on for a year as opposed to, I'm going to do a set of 4 lessons or 1 lesson. Let's see, how I'm sure you're happy to see, for people to get acquainted with you and for you to get acquainted with them and figure out whether it's worth your investment, which is so unique.
But again, that's not a big time statement. That's just it's better for both of us if we don't get into something that we can't see through to the end.
Yeah.
And I can I've gotten to where it's pretty easy to tell this is definitely going to work. This is definitely not going to work. And the gray is a little easier to manage.
Well, it's better for both sides if that's the case.
For sure.
So
yeah.
Anyway, I love what we're talking about. I love what we're going to hopefully engage in. And I think that what I hope for Links for Life is that we will be able to bring this process to those who listen who would love to improve in the game, and that we will be able to bring insights as I will gain insights into that. I also hope to get a little bit better at golf along the way. And I've got some pretty specific ideas of where my needs are. So I think this is going to be a great process. I'm excited about entering into it. Do you have, if someone wanted to contact you just to talk about the process, they're intrigued by what we're talking about, how would someone get in touch with you?
Yeah, so we put a website together called golfcolemans.com.
Okay.
Yeah. But there's a list of testimonials at the bottom with students that I've been working with for years.
Right.
And I think it's helpful to just read through and see if anything resonates.
Yeah.
And if something resonates, then maybe it's worth pinging. But
yeah, that's great. Well, we'll put that in the show notes as well as for, anybody can reach out to me if they're wanting a contact point. So,
okay, thanks.
Brian, thanks. This has been exactly what I wanted, just to give people a sense of what is possible, if we choose to get help, whether in golf or in life. So thanks everybody for listening to this episode, and we'll be hearing more from Brian as we go along, and we'll be back next week.